Admiral Daho Park stood by the large window on the bridge of the UES Resilience. His dark eyes watched the stars. After 30 years in Earth's Space Navy, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. "Sir, they're approaching," said Lieutenant Ji-hoon at the radar station. His voice shook a little. Park nodded and straightened his blue uniform. Humanity had sent signals into space for over a century. Now someone had finally answered. The alien ship was beautiful. It glowed with soft blue light and moved gracefully through space. It was 3 times larger than the Resilience, Earth's biggest warship. "All stations report," Park ordered, his voice calm despite his racing heart. "Weapons ready but not aimed," said Commander Tae-sung. "Shields at full power," added Engineer Min-ho. "Translation systems online," said Commander Soo-min Kang from her station. Soo-min was Earth's best language expert. She had dark hair tied back tightly and always wore a small pin shaped like an open book on her uniform. For the past 3 months, she had worked day and night to create a program that might help humans talk with aliens. "Open a channel," Park ordered. The main screen lit up. The aliens called themselves the Makari. They had 6 arms and skin that shimmered like oil on water. Their eyes were large and completely black. "We come in peace," the lead Makari said through the translation system. Its voice sounded like bells underwater. "We seek knowledge and friendship." Park had his orders. Earth's governments had debated for years what to do if aliens ever came. "Be friendly," they said, "but be careful." "We welcome you to Earth space," Park replied. "We too seek peace and knowledge." Over the next few weeks, the Makari shared some of their technology. They showed humans better ways to grow food in space and medicines that could cure many diseases. In return, they asked for information about Earth's history, cultures, and biology. "They're especially interested in our wars," Soo-min told Park during their daily meeting. She had dark circles under her eyes from working long hours. "They ask many questions about how humans fight." Park frowned. "What do you think of them, Commander? Your honest opinion." Soo-min thought for a moment. "They're brilliant, sir. Their language has over 40,000 base words. Their technology is at least 200 years ahead of ours." She paused. "But sometimes I feel like they're studying us, not getting to know us." "Like scientists with lab rats?" Park asked. "Exactly like that, sir." Park trusted Soo-min's judgment. He limited what information the humans shared with the Makari. He allowed them to see only basic history books and old movies. Nothing about Earth's current defenses or weaknesses. The Makari leaders seemed unhappy with these limits, but they didn't complain openly. They continued to share small technological gifts while asking for more and more information about humans. 3 months after first contact, more Makari ships arrived. They said they were scientists and traders, eager to visit Earth directly. Against Park's advice, Earth's governments welcomed them. The first attack came without warning. Park was woken by alarms in the middle of the night. The Resilience was orbiting Earth, and as he rushed to the bridge, he saw the planet burning below. "Report!" he shouted as he entered the bridge. "Makari ships appeared above all major cities simultaneously," said Lieutenant Ji-hoon, his face pale with shock. "They dropped some kind of bombs. Seoul is gone, sir. So are Shanghai, New York, Lagos, and Mexico City." Park felt like someone had punched him in the stomach. Seoul was his home. His family was there. "Get me Earth Command," he ordered, forcing his voice to remain steady. The communications officer shook her head. "All main channels are down, sir. I'm picking up emergency broadcasts only. The Makari are attacking everywhere at once." On the main screen, Park watched as Makari ships, different from the friendly ones they had met, fired strange weapons at Earth's surface. The weapons didn't explode like bombs. Instead, they released a purple mist that spread quickly. Wherever the mist touched, everything died. "Get us between those ships and Earth," Park ordered. "Prepare all weapons." The Resilience moved to defend Earth, but it was too late. The Makari had studied humans carefully. They knew exactly where to hit and how to disable Earth's defenses. In the chaos, Park managed to send messages to other Earth ships scattered throughout the solar system. "Retreat and regroup," he ordered. Do not engage directly. We need to survive to fight back. On Earth, Director Han Bin Lee of the Global Defense Agency watched the attack from a deep bunker beneath the Korean mountains. The bunker shook as explosions rocked the surface. "How did they get past our defenses so easily?" asked his aide, a young woman named Sunhai who had tears in her eyes. "They studied us," Han Bin said quietly. "All those questions about our history, our biology, our wars. They were learning how to beat us." He looked at the screens showing death and destruction across the planet. "And we told them everything they needed to know." In orbit, the Resilience fought bravely, but it was one ship against many. The Makari weapons tore through its shields. "We can't win this fight," Park told his crew as the ship shuddered from another hit. "But we can survive to fight another day." He ordered the Resilience to make a blind jump away from Earth. It was a desperate move. They might end up inside a planet or a star, but staying meant certain death. As the Resilience disappeared into the darkness of space, the Makari broadcast their message to all surviving humans. "Your species has been judged and found wanting. Submit to processing or face extinction. Resistance will only bring pain." But the Makari had made a terrible mistake. They had studied human wars and human weapons. They had learned human weaknesses, but they had failed to understand one crucial thing about humans. When pushed to the edge of extinction, humans don't give up. They get dangerous. In hidden places across Earth and the solar system, survivors began to plan. The Makari thought they had won. They thought humans were simple creatures who would accept defeat. They were wrong. The real war was just beginning. The Makari would learn the answer to the question, what happens to those who provoke humanity? Total and absolute annihilation. 1 year had passed since the Makari attack. Earth was now a different planet. The alien ships hung in the sky like dark stars. The strange purple mist had killed most plants and animals. People who survived lived in hiding. Captain Ji Woo Yoon moved quietly through the old subway tunnels under what was once Busan. Her black jacket was torn and dirty, but the gun in her hand was clean and ready. 4 other humans followed her. They all wore masks to filter the air, which still carried traces of the Makari poison. "Stay close," Ji Woo whispered. She was 32 years old, with short hair and a long scar across her cheek from a close fight with a Makari soldier. Before the invasion, she had been a police officer. Now she led one of the largest human resistance groups in East Asia. The tunnel opened into an old train station. Ji Woo held up her hand and everyone stopped. Above them they could hear the heavy footsteps of Makari patrols. "They're looking for us," said Taewon, Ji Woo's second in command. He was a big man who had once been a farmer. Now he was one of the best fighters in the resistance. "They must have found our last hideout." Ji Woo nodded. "We need to reach the radio tower by sunrise. Dr. Choi is waiting for us there." Dr. Yoonho Choi was one of the few scientists who had survived the first attack. He had been working underground, trying to understand Makari technology and find their weaknesses. The small group moved carefully through the dark tunnels. They knew that Makari soldiers could see in the dark better than humans. Every shadow might hide an enemy. After 3 hours of slow movement, they reached the surface. The sky was gray with dust and smoke. In the distance, they could see a tall radio tower, one of the few structures still standing in the ruined city. "There it is," Ji Woo said. "One last push." They ran from building to building, staying out of sight. Twice they had to hide as Makari. Patrol ships flew overhead. These ships were smaller than the big warships, but just as deadly. They could shoot a human from a kilometer away. Finally, they reached the tower. Dr. Choi was waiting in a small room filled with old computers and new equipment made from Makari parts. "You made it," Choi said with relief. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. "I was beginning to worry." "What's so important?" Ji Woo asked. "Why did we need to come here?" Choi smiled for the first time in months. "I've made contact with others, not just local groups. I reached someone in space." Ji Woo's eyes widened. "Space? You mean... Yes. Choi nodded. Some of our ships survived. They've been hiding in the asteroid belt, gathering strength, and they've learned things about the Makari. He turned on a radio and adjusted it until a voice came through. The signal was weak, but Jiwoo recognized the formal tone of a military officer. This is Commander Soo-min Kang of the Earth Resistance Fleet. If anyone on the surface can hear this, know that you are not alone. We are preparing to fight back. The Makari are strong, but they have weaknesses. They cannot survive our planet's natural radiation well. Their ships are blind to certain frequencies. And most importantly, they believe we are beaten. We are not. Jiwoo felt hope for the first time in months. Can we respond? She asked Choi. The scientist nodded. Yes, but only briefly. The Makari will detect any long transmission. Jiwoo took the radio. This is Captain Jiwoo Yoon in Busan. We hear you, Commander. Tell us what you need. Over the next few minutes, Soo-min explained the plan. The space fleet, led by Admiral Park, who had survived the first attack, needed the ground resistance to disable key Makari communication towers all around the world. Without these towers, the Makari ships couldn't coordinate their defense. We'll do it, Jiwoo promised. When? 5 months from now, Soo-min replied. On the anniversary of the attack. We'll send more details through secure channels. Stay alive until then, Captain. The radio went silent as Soo-min cut the connection to avoid detection. Jiwoo turned to her team. We need to contact all resistance cells we know. This is what we've been waiting for. Far away in a hidden base built inside the asteroid series, Commander Soo-min Kang reported to Admiral Park. The Admiral had aged a decade in the past year. His hair was now completely white and deep lines crossed his face, but his eyes still burned with determination. They received our message, Soo-min said. Groups all over Earth are responding. Park nodded. And the weapon? Dr. Min-jae thinks it will work, Soo-min replied. The Makari are vulnerable to radiation that doesn't harm humans. We can use that against them. Min-jae Kim was the fleet's chief scientist. He had spent months studying the few Makari bodies they had recovered from damaged ships. He discovered that the aliens' silicon-based biology couldn't handle certain types of radiation that passed harmlessly through human cells. How many ships do we have now? Park asked. 27, Soo-min replied. Plus the fighter craft we built from salvaged parts. It's not many against their fleet. It will be enough, Park said firmly. The Makari think we're primitive. They think we're running scared, just trying to survive. They don't know humans very well. On Earth, the resistance, prepared. In hidden bases, they built weapons that could harm the Makari. They studied the aliens' patterns and found blind spots in their security. Most importantly, they spread hope among the survivors. Humans were going to fight back. The Makari noticed some increased activity but didn't worry much. To them, humans were just frightened animals, trying to stay alive a little longer before inevitable defeat. The Makari had conquered many planets before. No species had ever recovered from their first attack. What they didn't understand was that humans were different. Humans had something that the Makari, for all their advanced technology, didn't understand: an absolute refusal to accept defeat. In a hidden lab under the ruins of what was once a university, Dr. Yoon-ho Choi worked day and night on a special project. Using parts from captured Makari weapons, he built devices that could disable their shields. As he worked, he thought about his family, killed in the first attack. You thought you knew us, he whispered to the absent aliens. You studied our past, our biology, our wars. But you missed something important about humans. He finished the device and tested it. It worked perfectly. When we're cornered, when everything is taken from us, we don't just roll over and die. We become more dangerous than you can imagine. All across Earth and the solar system, humans prepared for the day they would take back their home. The countdown to humanity's counterattack had begun. 5 months passed quickly. All across Earth, resistance groups prepared for the big attack. They gathered weapons, studied Makari patrol routes, and practiced their roles in the plan. Colonel Min-Soo Kim stood on a platform in the largest room of the series base. The room was once a mining area, now filled with humans in military uniforms. Some wore old Earth Navy clothes. Others wore outfits made from whatever materials they could find. But all had the same look in their eyes: determination. "Today we take back our home," Min-Soo said. His voice echoed off the rock walls. He was a tall man with a serious face and a robotic left hand, the result of an injury during the first Makari attack. "For 1 year, the enemy has walked on our land, breathed our air, and killed our people. They think we are beaten. Today they learn how wrong they are." On the wall behind him, a large screen showed the Earth. Blue circles marked Makari bases. Red circles showed where human resistance groups would attack. "Operation Reckoning will begin at exactly 0600 Earth time," Min-Soo continued. "Our fleet will attack Makari ships in orbit. At the same time, ground forces will attack their communication towers. Without those towers, the Makari ships can't talk to each other or to their ground troops." He pressed a button, and the screen showed a new image: a Makari communication tower. "Each tower has 4 weak points," Min-Soo explained, pointing to parts of the image. "Dr. Choi's devices will disrupt their shields for 10 minutes. That's all the time our ground teams have to place explosives at these points. If we hit all towers at once, the Makari will be blind and deaf for at least 2 hours. That's our window to hit their main base." The main Makari base was in what was once Seoul. The aliens had chosen the city because of its advanced infrastructure, which they now used for their own purposes. In the crowd, Lieutenant Ha-eun Ryu listened carefully. She was one of the fleet's best pilots. Before the invasion, she had flown transport ships between Earth and the Moon colonies. Now she would fly a fighter directly at the Makari fleet. "Will our new shields work?" she asked when Min-Soo finished speaking. "Engineer Jin-Ho Beck says they will," Min-Soo replied. "His team reversed the Makari shield technology. Our ships will be invisible to their sensors for at least 30 minutes. That's enough time to get close and hit them hard." Jin-Ho stood up from his seat. He was a young man with messy hair and oil stains on his uniform. "The shields will work," he assured everyone. "But remember, once you fire your weapons, the shield drops, so make your first shots count." On Earth, Captain Ji Woo-yoon led her team through the ruins of Busan one last time. They were heading to their target, one of the 12 major Makari communication towers on the planet. "Everyone knows their job?" Ji-woo asked, checking each person's pack of explosives. Taewon nodded. "We place the charges at the 4 weak points. Then we get out before they blow." "And if we don't all make it out?" Ji-woo asked. "The mission comes first," Taewon replied firmly. "Earth comes first." Ji-woo looked at her team. Some had been with her since the beginning. Others were new, young people who had lost everything to the Makari. All were ready to die if it meant freeing their planet. "Let's move," she ordered. As dawn broke over Earth, the counterattack began. From hidden bases throughout the solar system, human ships appeared. They had been built from salvaged parts, old mining vessels, and captured Makari technology. They weren't pretty, but they were deadly. Admiral Dae-ho Park stood on the bridge of the UES Phoenix, the new flagship built from the remains of the Resilience. The name was symbolic, the mythical bird that rose from ashes, just as humanity would rise from the ruins of their world. "All ships, commence attack," Park ordered. The human fleet moved toward Earth, invisible to Makari sensors thanks to Jin-Ho's shields. On the main screen, Park watched as Makari ships patrolled, unaware of what was coming. Lieutenant Ha-eun Ryu led the first wave of fighter ships. Her hands were steady on the controls as she approached a large Makari warship. "Remember, aim for their engine cores," she told her squad over the radio. "One good hit will take down their whole power system." The fighters closed in. When they were just 5 kilometers away, Ha-eun gave the order, "Fire." 20 fighters fired at once. Their weapons, enhanced with the radiation that Makari were vulnerable to, tore through the alien ship's hull. The Makari ship exploded in a ball of blue fire. Now visible to enemy sensors, the human fleet faced the Makari response. Alien ships turned to attack, but they were confused. Without their communication network, they couldn't coordinate. On the ground, Jiwoo's team reached their target. The communication tower rose above them, a tall structure made of dark metal with purple lights running up its sides. Makari patrols. Pass every 8 minutes, whispered Sunhee, the team's scout. We have a small window to move. Jiwoo nodded and took out Dr. Choi's device, a small box with blinking lights. She activated it, and a soft hum filled the air. Shields are down, she said. Move now. The team split into 4 groups, each heading for one of the tower's weak points. Jiwoo and Taewon took the most dangerous position, the main power core at the base of the tower. As they placed their explosives, a Makari patrol appeared. The aliens were tall, with their 6 limbs and shimmering skin. They carried weapons that fired the same purple mist that had killed billions during the first attack. Down! Jiwoo yelled, pushing Taewon behind a concrete block. The Makari fired, but Jiwoo was faster. She had spent a year learning how to fight these creatures. She threw a small metal ball toward them. It exploded with a flash of radiation that made the Makari scream, a high bell-like sound that hurt human ears. While the aliens were stunned, Jiwoo and Taewon finished placing their explosives. All teams report, Jiwoo said into her radio. One by one, the other teams confirmed they had placed their charges. Fall back to the meeting point, Jiwoo ordered. Detonation in 3 minutes. As the human team retreated, Jiwoo looked back at the tower. All across Earth, teams like hers were doing the same thing. For the first time, humans were fighting, back in a coordinated way. The explosives detonated. The tower collapsed in a shower of metal and purple sparks. Similar scenes played out at 11 other locations around the world. In space, the battle raged. Human ships took heavy losses, but the Makari were confused and disorganized without their communication network. Admiral Park watched as the Phoenix's weapons tore through a Makari cruiser. Status report, he demanded. 8 Makari capital ships, destroyed, reported his tactical officer. We've lost 11 of our smaller vessels, but we're winning, sir. Park allowed himself a small smile. Continue the attack. All ships, focus fire on their command vessel. The Makari had never expected such resistance. They had thought humans were weak, divided creatures who would accept their fate. They had never faced a species with humanity's unique combination of desperation, creativity, and absolute refusal to surrender. As the battle continued, news spread among the human resistance. For the first time since the invasion, they were winning. The Makari were falling back. The counterattack had begun, and the Makari were about to learn why provoking humans was the last mistake they would ever make. 10 years had passed since the great counterattack. Earth was healing slowly. Green plants grew where the Makari poison had once killed everything. Cities were being rebuilt. Humans were no longer an endangered species, but humanity had changed, forever. The near extinction had united all people in a way nothing else could. Old conflicts between nations seemed small and foolish now. Earth had one government, one military, and one purpose: to make sure no alien species ever threatened humans again. Admiral Dae-ho Park stood by the window in the new Earth Defense Headquarters. The building stood where Seoul had once been. At 70 years old, Park was now the head of Earth's unified military. His hair was completely white, and he walked with a slight limp from an old battle wound. But his eyes were still sharp and determined. "The fleet is ready, sir," said Commander Min-soo Kim, who now served as Park's second-in-command. 100 warships, all equipped with our best technology. Park nodded. For 10 years, humans had studied captured Makari ships and weapons. They had learned the secrets of faster-than-light travel, advanced shield systems, and weapons more powerful than anything Earth had before. They had also learned something else: the location of the Makari homeworld. "Has the Council made their final decision?" Park asked. "Yes, sir." "The vote was unanimous," Min-soo replied. "We go to the Makari system. We show them that attacking Earth has consequences." The Earth Defense Council, made up of leaders from all former nations, had debated for months. Some wanted to leave the Makari alone, now that Earth was safe. Others wanted revenge for the billions killed. In the end, they agreed on a middle path. Humanity would go to the Makari system, not for blind revenge, but to make sure the aliens could never threaten Earth again. 3 days later, the human fleet gathered above Earth. The ships were beautiful and deadly, sleek designs that combined human creativity with Makari technology. The flagship was the UES Justice, the largest and most powerful warship humans had ever built. Captain Jiwoo Yoon stood on the bridge of the Justice. After the war, she had joined the New Earth Navy and risen quickly through the ranks. The scar on her cheek was joined by others now, marks of the many battles she had fought. At her side was Lieutenant Taewon, still her most trusted officer. "All ships report ready, Captain," Taewon said. Jiwoo nodded. "Prepare for jump to light speed." The human fleet disappeared in flashes of blue light, leaving Earth behind. The journey to the Makari system would take 2 weeks at maximum speed. During the journey, the fleet's scientists and officers studied all available information about the Makari. Dr. Yoon Ho Choi, now the head of Earth Science Division, had made an interesting discovery. The attack on Earth was not supported by all Makari, he explained during a briefing on the Justice. From the records we captured, it seems a military faction decided humans were a threat and attacked without the approval of their full government. This information surprised many officers, including Jiwoo. "You mean most Makari civilians didn't even know about us?" she asked. "It appears not," Choi replied. The military leaders told their people that Earth was a dangerous, primitive world that needed to be cleansed from Makari colonization. Most civilians never knew humans were an intelligent species with our own civilization. This discovery led to intense debates among the fleet's leadership. If they destroyed the Makari homeworld, they would be killing billions of civilians who had no part in the attack on Earth. Director Han Bin Lee, who now served as Earth's diplomatic representative, argued for restraint. "If we destroy their world, how are we different from them? We would be doing exactly what they tried to do to us." Others disagreed. "They would have wiped us out completely," argued General Su Jin, a hardline military leader. "We should do the same to them." Admiral Park listened to all views. The final decision would be his. As the fleet neared the Makari system, he called the ship captains together. "We are not here for simple revenge," he told them. "We are here to ensure the safety of Earth and all humans forever. We will destroy the Makari military completely. We will hold their leaders accountable for their crimes against humanity. But we will not commit genocide against their civilians." When the human fleet arrived at the Makari homeworld, they found a planet much like Earth. Blue oceans, green and purple land masses, and white clouds. Orbital stations surrounded the planet, along with a defensive fleet. But the Makari were unprepared for the human attack. They had believed their mission to Earth was successful. They never expected humans to follow them home, especially not with ships using Makari technology. "They're hailing us," Taewon reported as the Justice approached. "The Makari defense fleet." On screen, Jiwoo ordered. A Makari appeared on the main screen. It looked like the ones who had attacked Earth but wore different colors, blue and gold instead of black and purple. "Unknown fleet, identify yourselves," the Makari demanded. Its voice was translated by the advanced systems humans had developed. Over the past decade, Admiral Park stepped forward. "This is Admiral Dae-ho Park of Earth. We have come to hold your leaders accountable for the attempted genocide of our species." The Makari's black eyes widened in what looked like shock. "Earth? The primitive world? How did you—" "We are not primitive," Park cut him off. "Your military leaders made a serious mistake when they attacked us. Now we have come to make sure it never happens again." The battle that followed was short but intense. The human fleet, using weapons and tactics specifically designed to counter Makari technology, quickly disabled most of the alien defenses. Within hours, they controlled the space around the Makari homeworld. Director Han Bin Lee led a diplomatic team to the planet's surface. They demanded the surrender of the military leaders who had ordered the attack on Earth. To their surprise, the Makari civilian government cooperated. It seemed many Makari had opposed the attack on Earth but had been overruled by the military faction. The Makari military leaders were brought to the justice to face human justice. They showed no remorse. They still believed humans were inferior beings who deserved extinction. "You should have died out," the Makari military commander said to Admiral Park. "No other species has ever survived our cleansing process." Park looked at the alien with cold eyes. "That was your mistake. You judged us by our technology, not by our will to survive. Humans have one quality your species lacks. When pushed to the edge, we don't give up. We fight harder." The Makari leaders were tried for crimes against humanity. The evidence was clear. They had attempted to exterminate an entire intelligent species. They were found guilty and sentenced to life imprisonment on a remote asteroid base. As for the Makari civilization, humans established a permanent presence in their system. Earth ships would patrol their space for the next 100 years. The Makari would be allowed to continue their lives, but their military was dismantled and their weapons technology confiscated. Throughout the galaxy, the message spread to other spacefaring races. Humans were not to be underestimated. The species that had provoked them had faced total military defeat and the end of their empire. This was the answer to the question: what happened to the last species that provoked humans? Total and absolute annihilation, not of their people, but of their power and their threat. And that was a lesson the galaxy would not soon forget.